Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you guys about this Palmetto PX-9. This is a 9mm AR rifle, takes Glock magazines. I have done a previous review on this. I think I did one, a year and a half ago. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about it today because a couple of weeks ago, I took that rifle to a 300-yard range, and at 300 yards, I was able to get most of my shots inside of 15 inches, and there was one flyer that was out to 18 inches. Okay, so uh, the total group was 18 inches, but like the I took a total of 6 shots. So the 5 shots were inside of the 15 inches, and then with one shot at 18 inches. But basically, inside a man-sized target, right? And I thought that was really good. So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to shoot this at the 100 yards to get a better sense of where this was. I did do I did shoot this. I did do a video where I'm shooting this at 100 yards a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago. But I just wanted to do an updated video, see where I was at. So at the 100 yards, and I shot this with 2 different types of ammunition. So the first one I used was this brass Independence. Okay, and this stuff is brass. Um, and the first couple of groups, I think I shot 2 groups that would seem like really wide, and then finally I got a group in that came in at about 4.5 inches. Okay, and then I shot it with this Sergeant Major, which is basically Tula, but it's Tula with a zinc coating, right? You can see how it's like nice and shiny. So I shot this. Of course, as soon as I start doing a video, it starts raining here. That's what I love. But anyway, I shot this, and it came in at 3.5 inches. So at 3.5 inches, if you take 3.5 inches and multiply it by 3 out to 300 yards, right? Because that's 3.5 inches at 100 yards. So at 300 yards, theoretically, I should be coming in at 10 inches, right? Because the 3.5 inches also includes the shot that's way out here, the flyer, at 3.5 inches. The other ones are inside of 2 3/4. But looking at the whole group, 3.5 inches at 300 yards, that should open up to about 10.5 inches. When in fact, in reality, it opened up to 18 inches. So, a lot of times people take shots at 100 yards and they try to calculate off of that what they're going to do at further distances. It doesn't always work out that way. You got to actually shoot it to see what you're actually going to get. So yeah, that's why I wanted to come back to this today. I kind of wanted to see where I was at with this. What I'm shooting at 100 yards versus what I shot at 300 yards. And for 9mm, I mean, that's not bad. The way I was able to get the hits at the 300 yards is I've got a 65 MOA circle on the rifle. So at basically at 300 yards, the bottom of so when you got the 65 MOA circle, the bottom of the 65 MOA circle was at the top of I think it was a 3.5-foot target. So basically, if you're shooting a man-sized target, if you want to hit center mass here, you take the bottom of your 65 MOA circle, you put it to the top of the head, and that's how you're gonna get down here. So that 65 MOA circle is really useful like that. It's also very useful for ranging because at 100 yards, when you're looking at a man, right, the average man about 5'10", which is pretty much exactly what I'm at. So the average man at 100 yards is going to stand inside of that 65 MOA circle. At 200 yards, basically only half of him will be inside the circle. So from the dot, let's say, to the bottom, you're going to be able to fit in the whole man, okay? And then let's say at 300 yards, it ends up being something like somewhere between 2/3, let's say a quarter of your total circle, right? At 300 yards, okay? So your 65 MOA circle is very useful for ranging, especially if you're going to be using a 9mm AR like this. And you know, you're not likely to have like an LPVO that has like ranging estimates in it. You know, you can use that 65 MOA circle to help you range out, and it doesn't have to be just, you know, it could be any man-sized target, or if you're, you know, or anything that's about the size of a man. Okay, or you can cut that in half. If you, let's say, if you got a barrel or something that you know is like about half the size of a man, where you can make estimates based on that. So, but that's a good basis to work off of. You can use that 65 MOA circle to range it. For those of you not familiar, let me get you guys behind the camera real quick. See if I can give you a view of that. See if I can. Where's the lens? See if I can line this up so you guys can see the 65 MOA circle. Where are you? Oh, there. Oh, you know, I gotta make it a little bit brighter because I dimmed it down so that it didn't. There it is. So there's a 65 MOA circle. So at 100 yards, which is way out there, at 100 yards, a man's going to be able to fit inside of that completely. At 200 yards, only half, you know, basically he's going to fit inside of half that circle. So from the dot all the way to the bottom. And then at 300 yards, basically a quarter. So he's going to be somewhere halfway between the dot and the bottom of the circle. And that's probably as far, I mean, you might go out to 400 yards. That's probably as far as you're probably going to try to go with, certainly with a 9mm. I mean, I think that 300 yards is kind of the extreme, and still put effective hits. You could put suppression fire at 400 yards, right? You'd have to hold fire. I haven't tested the 9mm at 400 yards, so I don't know what the holdover is. I would guess that, you know, because at 300 yards, I'm putting the bottom of the circle here. I mean, I would probably go another like 3 feet. The bottom probably another 3 feet higher. I mean, it's just a guess. At that point, at 400 yards, you're just doing suppression fire. You're not gonna, you know, you might get lucky and get a hit. But at 300 yards, put the bottom of the circle to the top of the head, and you're gonna get hits. You're gonna stay, you know, definitely inside of, because I was hitting 18 inches. You're gonna stay inside of 2 feet, right? 24 inches, and a man is basically 24 inches shoulder to shoulder, right? Other thing that's interesting, worth mentioning, when I shot this with the Independence, the brass, apparently, because with both this ammo, I was holding in the center. That was in the center at 100 yards. So the Independence came higher, came up here. The Sergeant Major, which, like I said, is basically Tula, dropped down over here. Now, when I shot the 300 yards, I used this. Okay, so if I was using the brass, and I was putting the bottom of the circle at the head, I'd be probably hitting closer to the upper chest, versus with the Tula, I'm hitting more towards like the lower hip area. So that's a you know, so you can see this huge difference between this different ammunition here, just from you know at 100 yards, right? Dots here with the Independence, I'm going up about 3 inches, and then with the Sergeant Major, I'm dropping down, you know, about 3 inches. So something interesting to, you know, that's an interesting observation. So basically, you gotta shoot the ammo and see what it does, because that's a pretty big difference, I think, at 100 yards. You know, that's almost another Major here. Yeah. The total deviation is about 6 inches. Total deviation from one ammunition to the other. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed the video. So anyway, the main thing I was looking for is I wanted to see what the accuracy of this is, and like I said, it's about 3.5 inches at 100 yards. So it's a 3.5 MOA, and based on the clusters that I'm getting, because I'm getting like consistent clusters here, where I've got a 2.5 inch group here, 2.5 inch group here. You know, and the problem here is the ammunition, because when they make 9mm, they're not intending it for people to be shooting long range. They're intending it for people to be shooting it with pistols at this distance here, right? At 30, 40, 50 feet, you know, over here, right? They're not intending for people to be shooting this long distance. So 9mm isn't designed with distance shooting in mind. So it makes sense that, you know, it's not going to be as consistent. Okay. So anyway, that's the data hope you guys found the video useful. Drop some comments below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see if I can find the old video at 300 yards, and I'll link it below. I'll pin it so you guys can go back and check that out. Talk to you all soon.